Just how often should we audit the federal government? And how much do we actually know the people that is doing this audit? This is part 2 of Hannity's interview with President Trump and Elon Musk.
With President Trump and Elon Musk. Take a look. This is the $1 million or $1 billion among billionaires question. So you have all of this going on and you stop in a way. You're still doing it and you partner with him. And this is what you get from the Democrats. You get nobody voted for Elon. Well, nobody voted for any of your cabinet nominees. Okay. People are dying because of DOGE cuts. I'll give you a chance to respond to all that. What DOGE is doing is illegal. Elon Musk is more street vernacular for a male body part. It's a constitutional crisis.
Okay. Why are they reacting like this?
Well, first of all,
what DOGE is doing is illegal. That still just blows my mind because what DOGE is uncovering is illegal. Talk about the pot calling the kettle black or a wolf in sheep's clothes. Like literally, you can't be distracted anymore by all the rhetoric that's being thrown their way. Like, come on, people, you have got to do better.
You give it flying rip, number one, and
well, I guess we must be over the target of doing something right. You know, if like they wouldn't be complaining so much if we weren't doing something useful. I think.
That's an amazing point.
What we're trying to do here is restore the will of the people through the president. And what we're finding is that there's an unelected bureaucracy. Speaking of unelected, there's a vast federal bureaucracy that is implacably opposed to the president and the cabinet. And you look at, say, DC voting, it's 92% Kamala. Okay, so we're 92% Kamala. That's a lot.
They don't like me here either.
I think about that number a lot. And like 92%. That's basically almost everyone.
Yeah.
And
could you imagine going to work every single day where you know that 92% of the people that you are interacting with either are disapprove of you or just simply don't like you? And then you continue to go because of the will of the people that aren't surrounding you, that you represent, that do want you there. What does that say about all of the leaders that we have surrounded Washington with and what kind of influences they're getting regularly? Like if you take yourself and you think about it, all this garbage in, garbage out, right? So if you're constantly being fed by all this stuff that's constantly around you, you start to believe it yourself. How can they protect their mentality, their thoughts, their morals if they're constantly being fed this other stuff?
And so, but how can you, if the will of the president is not implemented and the president is representative of the people, that means the will of the people is not being implemented. And that means we don't live in a democracy, we live in a bureaucracy. And so I think what we're seeing here is the thrashing of the bureaucracy as we try to restore democracy and the will of the people. Is this making sense? I mean...
No, of course it does. I mean, to me, if you look at our framers and our founders, and you really become a student of history, Mr. President, and we've had conversations both on air and off air. And if we talk about constitutional order or transformational change, nobody can argue that what's happening here is it's going at the speed of light. But however, what were the principles of our framers and our founders? They wanted limited government, greater freedom for the people. And we'll get to the specific cutting of waste, fraud, and abuse. That is your goal, is it not?
Yeah, and my goal was to get great people. And when you look at what this man has done.
They also framed our government to cater to small business owners. And that's why when people complain about how little the wealthy are spending in taxes each year, they don't understand that the tax code literally is built around the fact that they're business owners. Yes, they're not small business owners. I get it. But you've got to set yourself up in a way where you understand the tax code and then you make it work for you. You make all your income work for you. That's why they don't hardly own anything their businesses do. That's why Amazon, when they pay people, they pay you in stocks and it's not realized until you sell them. You get everybody is maxed out at a certain dollar amount, which is $100 and something thousand. Even the president only makes so much of Amazon. They all are on the same pay scale. Everything above and beyond it that they earn is paid with them through the stocks, and then that fluctuates in the stock market. But they're not taxed any differently until they actually sell the stock. Or you can get loans against. There's all kinds of different tools that are out there that the wealthy use that the most of us don't, because we're never taught that. But all we are taught how to do is complain and bitch and moan about things instead of actually learning and changing your mentality and changing what you're doing to actually get better in life. So I challenge you, when you see someone else thriving, don't complain about them thriving. Find out what they're doing and try to replicate it yourself, because that ultimately is what's going to lead to you being able to be so successful.
I mean, it was something. I knew him a little bit through the White House. Originally, I'd see him around a little bit. I didn't know him before that. And I respected what he did. And he fought hard. You know, he was maybe questioned for a while. He was having some difficulties. It was not easy doing what he did. I mean, how many people have started a car company and made it really successful and made a better car where it's, you know, beating these big companies that's all they do is cars? I mean, it's really amazing the things that he's done. But I didn't know it as much then as now. I mean, the fruits have sort of taken hold. But I wanted great people. And he's a great person. He's an amazing person. He's also a caring person. You know, he uses the word care.
Too many times we want to add volume to make ourselves better, but the people that are ultra successful, like if you think of Tesla, it's not a successful company because Elon's in charge and he tells everybody what to do and they just do what he says. He does what Henry Ford did, what all these innovators that led America through the Industrial Revolution did, is you surround yourself by people smarter than yourself and you trust them to do what they're supposed to do. That's why they jumped up so high in the auto industry so fast, is he hired and paid the best people and trusted them to do what they want. Yes, they all had the same vision, but he had to be a leader. He had to be a motivator. He had to keep them focused on what the vision was, but then you have to trust them and let them do what they want, what their strengths are. And that's what he's doing and has done. And that's what separates him from everyone else. Most people just want to add, well, you know, we'll just throw 20 people on something that needs 10 and it'll get done. And at least everybody will be happy it's done. How can you do it the most efficiently? How can you do it the best? Sometimes a group of 5 can get things done a whole lot better, more efficiently than a group of 20, because you're not sitting around having meetings just to meet to make sure that the meeting that you previously had, everybody understands exactly what was being said. No, just action. Get it done. Get it over with. Move on to the next task.
They sign a contract in a government agency, and it has 3 months, and the guy leaves that signed the contract, and nobody else is there, and they pay the contract for 10 years.
Yeah.
So the guy is getting checks for years and years and years, and he's telling his family, obviously, maybe it was crooked, maybe he paid to get the contract, or maybe he paid that they didn't terminate it. But, you know, we have contracts that go forever, and they've been going for years, and they're supposed to end in 3 months or 5 months or 2 years or something, and they go forever. So the guy is either crooked, you know, where he knew this was going to happen, or he's crooked because he's getting payments that he knows he shouldn't be getting. But they're finding things like that. They're finding things far worse than that. And they're finding billions, and it will be hundreds of billions of dollars worth of fraud, I say waste and abuse.
And I appreciate that they're finding him, but I want to see the proof. I mean, when he came in the office and he released some of the files of Martin Luther King Jr. and Kennedy, and it's great that there's transparency and people are finding these things out, but it's also, don't point your finger one direction and then hide it on the next. Yes, I appreciate that some of this has come to life and he's held press conferences where he's reading off a sheet of paper, but the American public's trust is gone. You have to earn it by receipts. Don't just talk to us about what you're finding. Show us your findings. And then I don't even care about this giving people money, their money back, because how are you actually ever going to do that? Just take care of the veterans that are homeless on the streets. Give us better roads. Make America thriving again by putting the money back in. Let us reinvest in ourselves instead of other countries. That's the kind of stuff that I want to see happen. Could I use an extra couple grand? Sure. Who couldn't? But ultimately, I'd rather know that my kid's future is bright instead of not knowing if we're going to have some world government, which I think is what the Democrats were leading towards. How can you constantly be giving money to everybody in the world? You're buying someone's friendship. It's temporary. If you're earning it because you're doing things the right way and building something great, if you are great, people want to be attracted to you. If you're paying somebody to be your friend, as soon as the money dries up, they're going to someone else. Be great. Make people want to be attracted to you. Make people want to be around you. And that will never go away as long as you continue to be great. And when you mess up, which you will, admit that you're wrong and move forward. That's all you have. It's really not complicated. We make this way too complex.
But fraud, waste, and abuse. And he's doing an amazing job. And he attracts a young, very smart type of person. I call them high IQ individuals, and they are. They're very high IQ and high IQ. And when they go in to see the people and talk to these people, you know, the people think they're going to pull it over. They don't. These guys are smart, and they love the country. You know, there's a certain something. But he uses the word care. So people have to care. Like when I bought Air Force One, I negotiated the price. It was $5.7 billion, and I got them down to $1.7 billion. Now they're not building the plane fast enough. I mean, they're actually in default. Boeing, that's supposed to have been building this thing forever. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
We don't build the way we used to build. You know, we used to build like a ship a day, and now to build a ship is like a big deal. And we're going to get this country back.
I mean, technology's change. It kind of is a big deal. But if you agree to a contract of billions of dollars, you should be able to follow through on that contract and make sure that you're moving mountains to get that done. It's not like this is the first time they've built Air Force One and they've got to learn from their mistakes. Like all you do is build planes, build a plane, make it safe, build a plane, get it done.
On track, we can do it, but so many things. It takes so long to get things built and get things done. And a lot of it could be something we've been discussing. The regulators go in and they make it impossible to build. They make it very difficult to build anything, whether it's a ship, a plane, or a building, or anything. And some of them do it because they want to show how important they are. Some of them do it maybe because they think they're right. They use the environment to stop progress and to stop things. It's always the environment. It's an environmental problem. It's not an environmental problem at all. But they do a lot of things. And by the way, speaking of that, Lee Zeldin is going to be fantastic in the position. It's so important. He could take 10 years to approve or disapprove something, or he could do it in a month. You know, just as good.
Sure.
And I think you're going to see a fantastic job done by him. He's a tremendous guy.
Newt, you echoed something when I just met you, and it was very similar to what Newt has been saying, that he brought this country to the dance. This is the opportunity to be transformational and to have, I would argue, the most consequential presidency if we really dig down and do something that had never been done before, and that is get rid of this bureaucracy. And I'm going to get to the specifics. You say the same thing. It's not done yet. And what do you mean by that?
I mean, winning the election is really the opportunity to fix the system. It is not fixing the system itself. So it's an opportunity to fix the system and to restore the power of democracy. And, you know, people like, it's funny how often when these attacks occur, the thing that they're accusing the administration of is what they are guilty of.
That's typically the way it's done. Is you take the light that's getting shown on you for the mistakes that you've done, and that you're guilty of, and you turn that light and you put it on someone else, typically the one shining on you. Because if you can get the court of public opinion to turn on the people shining the light goes away in most cases, but they're not dealing with the same people that they're used to dealing with. It's not going to go away. It's going to come to light, and it's all going to stop. And hopefully we can get the government back at least functioning on a balanced budget. That's literally, let's eliminate the debt. Let's balance the budget. Like, people don't understand why it's so important that we don't owe China money, that we don't owe most of the world money. The trillions of dollars that we are in debt is not just, it's magically just sitting there. We actually owe people money that needs to be paid back because they have leverage over us. When we remove the leverage, then we grow, we get better, we become great. We can never obtain greatness as long as we owe other countries money and that we're in their debt. That's literally what debt is the fact that we owe them something and that they have something over us.
They're saying that things are being done unconstitutional, but what they are doing is unconstitutional. They are guilty of the crime of which they accuse us.
That's always the first thing they do. He's in violation of the Constitution. They don't even know what they're talking. Well,
It's
they know.
absurd.
It's just a con job. It's a big con job. And they're so bad for the country, so dangerous and so bad. And the media is so bad. When I watch MSNBC, which I don't watch much, but you have to watch the enemy on occasion, the level of arrogance and cheating, and they're just horrible people. These
They
are
lie.
horrible people.
They tell
They're
conspiracy
liars,
theories.
and they start.
It cracks me up that he goes straight to horrible people. I don't know that they're horrible people. They're telling horrible lives. And there's a lot of untruths being told, but that's from both sides. If you control the narrative, you control the people, because people just are not used to doing the research themselves and thinking for themselves critically. A lot of what he's saying and what Musk is doing, I agree with, because I'm doing this from a financial side. I want you to understand that we need to be balancing our books, our businesses to be balancing their books, our government needs to be balancing its books. And the more that we do that, the better we're going to thrive. Accounting is a practice that if you needed a job, if you're going into college and you want something that is going to be in desperate need, accounting is not sexy. Accounting is not fun for most people, but most accountants are getting old and retiring, and there's not a lot of people that are going to be able to fill those shoes. But those jobs are what's actually out there that is going to dictate whether a business survives or not. It's going to help dictate whether they pay a ton in taxes or not, because they understand that, as well as getting the paperwork in order so the CPA can do their job. But you've got to start within your house, and then you've got to go outward from there. And us understanding where our government is spending its money is going to highlight an immense amount of problems that we have, and then we know what to fix. If you don't know what to fix, you just know there's a lot of holes in your ship. What are you going to do? Abandon ship? We're not going to abandon this country. It's taken a lot to build it to where it is today, and we're still relatively young, but we have to identify where the holes in our ship are so that we can patch them and get better from them and learn from them. And it's going to take a lot of growing pains to get there.
Up with the Constitution, they couldn't care less about the Constitution. CNN, likewise. I mean, I watch them asking questions with, the hatred with the. I said, "Why are you asking the question with such anger? You're asking me a normal question, but you see the bias. The bias is so incredible. And those two are bad. PBS is bad. AP is bad. CBS is terrible. I mean, CBS now, they changed an answer. In Kamala, they asked her some questions. She answered them like, a low IQ person, the opposite of him, the absolute opposite. But she gave a horrible answer. They took the entire answer out, and they put another answer that she gave 20 minutes later into as the answer. I've never even heard of that. I thought I heard of it all.
I'm going to, just for the sake of saving time, because I could spend, and I've done this on radio and TV, I can spend an hour finding the outrageous amounts of money being spent abroad, like USAID. And I just want to mention a couple, but I'm going to scroll it.
Well, I guess at a high level, I think it's what the president mentioned earlier, which is that in order to save taxpayer money, it comes down to two things: competence and caring. And when the president was shown the outrageous bill for the new Air Force One, and then negotiated it down, if the president had not applied competence and caring, the price would have been 50% higher.
How many times have you had an opportunity to spend money and it wasn't yours, so you didn't care? If you're working for a company and you have a business credit card because you're out doing something for the company and you just leave an extra 10% or just a $20 tip, it's not your money, and you work hard for the company and you're just going to share the love with somebody. Doing the right thing is doing the right thing at all times. And being a steward of money is being a steward of the money as if it was your own. And just the fact that President Trump, when he had an opportunity, which all presidents do, to purchase Air Force One, it wasn't just negotiating a little. It went from 5 something to 1.7. That's huge. That's our money that he's being a steward of. When he went to the Super Bowl, there was a lot of people complaining that he's wasting taxpayers' money because he was the first president to do that. He did that at his own expense. He paid for that out of his own pocket. He's not walking into Washington to make millions of dollars. He's already got the money. He's not walking into Washington to help our country that he loves. There's a difference. And without turning this strictly on him, I want you to do some self-reflection and realize, what are you doing? What are you doing for yourself? What are you doing for your family? What are you doing to educate your kids in this way? And it's not political. It's financial. How are you teaching them to be stewards of their money? How are you teaching them that you are a steward of your money and you're doing the best decisions for you and your family? When you go out and spend money on something, is it frivolous? Are you teaching them that spending money on you is more important than taking care of their basic needs? Are you telling them that spending money on them is more important than your family's basic needs? Where are your actions leading them because they're paying attention? They are paying attention. Don't kid yourself. Every decision you're making is someone is watching and they're doing so and they're learning, and that's going to ripple into their lives.
Literally 50% higher. The president cared. The president was competent. The price was not 50% higher as a result. And so when you add more competence and caring, you get a better deal for the American people.
But we were talking about this yesterday. I could give me thousands of bills. I could pick any one of them.
Exactly.
But I could take all 1,000. And let's say it's a bill for $5,000, just $5,000, and it's done by some bureaucrat. And if he would say, I'll give you 3, I don't want to pay you 5, it's too high, I'll give you 3. But they don't do that. If a guy sends in a bill for $5,000, they pay $5,000. They expect to be cut. Everybody expects to be cut. When you send in a bill, you expect to be cut. They send in the bill higher for the most part. This is true with lawyers, legal fees. When they send in legal fees, I can cut. I wish I had the time. I would save so, but I could cut these bills in half, much better than half. But you offer people a much lower number because they actually put fat. I'm not even saying it's like a way of business. They put more on because they expect to be negotiated. When you send in a bill to the government, there's nobody to negotiate.
Yes.
You send in a bill for $10,000 and they send you a check back for $10,000. If you would call them and said, we'll give you 5. No, I need more than 5. We'll give you 5. I'm not going to pay any more than 5. Make it 6. No, I'm not going to make it 6. And you'll settle for $5,500. You just cut the...
Americans are not taught to negotiate, but people in other countries are. And so when we get presented with the bill, we just pay it. Other countries know you start high and then you meet somewhere in the middle. They know what their break-even point is, and anything above that is just gravy for the transaction. This is not taught in our schools, and it should be. That's why when you go buy a car, you have no clue what you're doing. When you go get a house, you hire a realtor who's supposed to be an expert in negotiations. You hope that they are. You're paying them a commission because you're hoping that they are. But in reality, you don't know anything about negotiations, and the rest of the world does. What he's saying is not false at all. It's 100% accurate. Can he probably negotiate? I wouldn't say every contract, because some of them are probably legitimately fair priced. But then there's also the mentality that people have also, is that their time is worth money. And if you're going to save a few $1,000s over a few $1 billion, you're going to negotiate the few $1 billion, and the thousands are going to fall through the cracks and they're going to get paid. And that's what I used to think, how it was ridiculous that I've never seen it, but I've heard that you can, back in the day, governments would buy toilets for thousands of dollars, but you can go to Home Depot and buy them for 50 to $100. But it's things like that. You can't think of money from a dollar standpoint. You got to think of it from a percentage standpoint. If you buy it for $50 and you sell it for thousands, it exponentiates. And that's what you got to look at, is the percentage of which your margins are and how much you're making. That's where the ethics comes in. You should not be able to buy something, especially sell it to we the people, and make your year, your month off of that. And that's what he's talking about here.
The bill almost in half. And it took like 2 minutes. But none of that's
Someone call that the art of the deal?
But that's caring. No, it's not even the art of the deal. It's caring. He uses the word
caring.
It's caring. Yeah. It's a certain competence, but I think it's more caring.
If you add either ingredient, either competence or caring, you'll get a better outcome. But it stands to reason that if you don't have competence, you don't have caring, you're going to get a terrible deal. And the problem is that the American taxpayers have been getting a terrible deal because look at the last administration. Can any reasonable person say that the last administration was either competent or caring?
But they lied to us and said that Joe didn't have a cognitive decline.
They fully lied.
They said the borders were closed. They said that the borders were secure. They said that, they said Obamacare would save.
They flat out lied.
They flat out lied.
They flat out lied. It's insane. I remember growing up that the term common sense was thrown around a lot, and I've learned as I've gotten older that there's no such thing as common sense anymore, that people don't even have sense most of the time. But if we come back down to just caring, eliminate everything else, but we just care not only for ourselves, but for others and for the better of all of us, then the country in general will get better. I didn't realize exactly my mentality on the people around me and how doom and gloom I was feeling until I started volunteering and helping high school students and coaching them on what it is to build a business, coming up with a business plan, coming up with an understanding of how to price things and how to market and how to grow something. But then you start seeing the gears work, the gears move in their heads, and you start seeing them implement some of the plans that you've helped them. They've done all the work. You've just kind of guided them. And when you see those things come to fruition, you realize that we are actually in a really good place in our country. The media is just painting it as a doom and gloom atmosphere. But in reality, there's a lot of positivity around us. You just got to look for it. So what are you doing today? What are you doing tomorrow? What are you doing this week to make the world around you better? Put that down in the comments. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow. We'll see you guys in the next one.